they get of it. But this is interesting because you've heard a lot of the scuttlebutt about high school players and how far NIL will trickle down. And you've seen some states already, basically get in on the NIL action for high school athletes. I don't really know quite what to make of that. But there is a pair of sisters who have become the first high school athletes to sign name, image, likeness deals with Nike. There are a pair of sisters committed to Stanford by the name of Alyssa and Giselle Thompson. They've signed multi-year deals with Nike for high school name, image, likeness. Both are members of the U.S. women's national team system and or within that system. And they are also committed to go play at Stanford after their high school careers wrap up. Of course, there were no money figures thrown around, but I got to think, like, at some point, you want to have it's kind of like college athletes now. It's like you want to have all the good parts, but you don't want any of the bad parts. At some point, people are going to start reporting on money figures and things like that. That's just going to be a natural evolution of this. I don't think you're going to be able to have your cake and then just hide behind the closed door all the time. So I wonder when that pops, where we get the website that's covering the actual money figures and whatnot. But Alyssa and Giselle Thompson of Harvard Westlake High School in L.A., multi-year NIL deal with Nike, first high schoolers to sign with the swoosh.
Well, I wonder if that could happen in Texas without being...
The rules are not in place for it to happen now, and I think Texas will be one of the states that would push back on that.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
But that leads me to, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but... we talk about college football reporters. There's some of them, they love the change. They love the chaos and all of that. I was seeing, I think it might, and I don't want to be wrong here, so don't quote me, but I want to say it was Andy Staples, and we know he's very pro-NIL and all that. And there's parts of it I agree with him. Like, yeah, it's overdue. It should have been happening already and all of that. I do think there is a wall, though, eventually that you should hit, and it shouldn't just be free reign all over the place. But I want to say it was him. If not him, it was somebody else that mentioned that we're going to probably enter a period now where you're seeing high school kids transferring, moving states, moving schools, but particularly moving states if they are in a state with no NIL for high school athletes. So what are your thoughts on that? High school athletes suddenly going from, let's say, Texas, where you don't have NIL for high schoolers, to California to go play for Harvard Westlake so you can get NIL deals at 17, 18 years old.
Well, I mean, look, you can't, again, it's kind of silly to restrict the income potential of your residents. So eventually, while I think it's silly for anyone to give a high school athlete an NIL deal, no matter how good they are or maybe potentially marketable, and maybe these two sisters are very marketable for Nike and they hit a segment of the population that'll work for them.
There's a sisters thing with the NIL deals we've noticed.
So,
yeah,
the kids that are at Miami now.
Maybe that's true, but I don't, and I'm not trying to knock high school sports, but I don't find anything particularly impressive about something we all did, right? Like, we all played high school sports. I mean, most people did. Not that it's not impressive, that there's not fantastic athletes and it's not fun, but like, it's something we all did or were around. So to me, to tell me like, hey, this high school football player is great. Yes, there's a lot of them. Like, you're not knocking me over with being that impressed. Like, get him into the 1% and then the 1% of the 1%, and then I'll start going, oh, wow, that guy's pretty darn good. But I don't understand it, and it's just maybe me, but there's going to be people who do, but there's not going to be that many high school NIL people.
Can there be a UIL Austin case?
I don't know all the legalese stuff about that.
Well, I mean, UIL being in Texas.
Yeah, it's a government thing,
and
good luck with that. And the Texas government, I think that they're pretty staunch in their ways, and I doubt that NIL opening up to high school athletes is something that they would be up for, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. I don't know every Texas politician who would matter's opinion on NIL for high school athletes.
Just let one kid from Highland Park leave and move to California, and then, one of those people from Highland Park will be like, whoa, we didn't win the state championship this year because some kid went to play at
De La Salle?
Yeah, De La Salle, yeah. So, yeah.
Or Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but that's pretty cool for those sisters. I mean, bottom line, it's a very cool deal to be the first high school athletes to sign an NIL deal. So, more power to them, and best of luck as they close out their high school careers and go to Stanford. And they're now Nike athletes at like 17, 18 years old. So that is a pretty neat deal. That's something we might all played college sports, but we certainly did not get NIL deals from Nike when we were 17, 18 years old. So good on them. And just part of the ever-changing world, and we'll see how deep that gets. California, it's not surprising, does seem to be the state that's like trying to push this to the absolute maximum, including the whole revenue sharing thing with college athletes that they've proposed. I don't know if you saw that, but they are trying to attempt to get it to where a percentage of the revenue that comes in would go directly to the college athletes. They'd get a big share of the pie. It's got a long way to go before I think it reaches that point, but it's at least out there for debate. Tiger Woods.
Go ahead. There are certain school districts that have a ton of money, that have a tremendous tax base or whatever.
And there's a lot that don't. Bye, DeSoto.
I'd say there's more that don't. I'd say 85% don't. Yeah.
I can tell you in East Texas,
like the NCAA.
in East Texas where I grew up, where there's like 120-something programs, and there's very good programs out there. I don't think that the Tyler schools are going to be able to swing NIL deals. Longview probably could do something to some extent. Obviously Highland Park could do something. Austin Westlake. Guess what? The rich get richer. It would be those schools that are already super well off and super extravagant and great that would be able to do this.
Sound like someone else? Sound like college football?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
and then look, the floodgates would open with there's all and these rules are not just in Texas, but I wonder how soon, because of NIL. And I'm in DeSoto. There's nobody who can pay me here, but there is somebody in Highland Park or South Lake that can. I can't move for athletic purposes. Well, I'm an American. I can move for whatever damn well reason I please.
I never thought we would see broadcast on Friday nights. We saw that during the COVID year. I never thought we would see as much transfers as we see now. And believe me, there is as much tampering going on in high school football as there is in college football. There's a lot of things I thought I would never see, and I have seen it. And this is, of course, over 42 years of covering it. And I don't think I'll ever see the NIL, but I never thought we'd see that in college athletics, and I've had my eyes open to it.
And we never thought we'd see a playoff, and we've had that. And now it's a matter of, like, let's change the playoff. And, yeah, you never say never.
Or realignment in college sports and conferences.
Right.
Yep.
All right, so Tiger Woods, Phil